Welcome to episode 7 of the Sports Geek podcast. On today's episode, we'll talk to Travis LaDolce from the Oakland Athletics about their Gnomin around promotion, and we'll look at the Wallabies and Socceroos in action this week, and we'll dig deeper into Twitter ads.
Welcome to the Sports Geek podcast, the podcast built for the sports digital marketer. And now, here's your host who proves you can podcast with one leg in the air, Sean Callanan.
Thanks, DJ Joel. My name is Sean Callanan from Sports Geek. You can find me on Twitter at Sean Callanan. If you're a first-time listener, you might not know why I'm podcasting with one leg in the air. I'm currently recovering from Achilles surgery. I'm looking forward to having the plaster removed this week and getting that moon boot on and being a little bit more mobile. If you've listened before, thank you for coming back. Very much appreciate everyone who's listening to the podcast and all the feedback that we've been getting. In today's show, we'll be talking to Travis LaDolce from the Oakland Athletics around their Gnomin around promotion and how they boosted ticket sales and awareness of the game. And we'll also look back at what has been a big week in sport in Australia with two national teams on show with the Wallabies and the Socceroos. But first, here is my discussion with Travis on ABC Grandstand with Francis Leach.
Sean Callanan, the digital sports guru who usually is with us in the studio each Saturday morning to talk sport and the digital media, is on the DL, on the disabled list, but it hasn't stopped him from catching up with us again here today as he recovers from his Achilles injury. G'day, Sean.
G'day, Francis. How are you doing?
Progress report?
Progressing well. Nearly ready to have the plaster off on Monday, so I'll be moon booting in the studio next week.
Oh, good to hear. Now, this morning we're going to be talking about the use of digital media and creativity, coming up with creative promotions and creative ideas to engage fans.
Yeah, pretty much, and really just around building awareness around games and theming games. And, we've discussed about the MLB games before, and they're very, very big on giveaway games and knickknacks and bobbleheads and the like. And one we want to talk about today is the Gnoming around promotion from the Oakland Athletics. And I believe you've got Travis LaDolce there on the line from the Oakland Athletics.
G'day, Travis. How are you?
I'm doing fine, gentlemen. How are you?
Not too bad. Who came up with this concept?
It was an internal idea, a couple of us in the marketing department.
How did it work?
And so, Travis, how did it work? And first of all, there's a bit of an Aussie connection there as well.
Yeah, certainly. So Grant Balfour, if you're not familiar with him, he's a Sydney, Australia native. He's the closer for the Oakland A's. Means he's the final pitcher that comes into our games, sort of shuts down the other team. And Grant is known for being rather animated on the mound. He comes out, sort of stomps around the mound, and our fans dubbed him Rage, Balfour Rage. It's the hashtag that we use. Fans use it. And just yelling and screaming is sort of the epitome of Grant Balfour when he's in the game. And this season we wanted to try a different kind of promotion. We've tried bobbleheads and different things before, and we're doing that again. And but we had an idea for a gnome, and we thought who better to fit a gnome image than a Grant Balfour, and as a raging image. So he's got his fist clenched and his mouth open like he's yelling. But it's in small 6-inch tall gnome form that you can put in your garden or other places. And it's a different kind of promotion for us. Bobbleheads are an A-plus promotion. We get out numerous amounts of fans for bobbleheads. We know that we can upsell a game with a bobblehead promotion. A gnome promotion is sort of a B-plus promotion for us. We think it's attractive, but there's no known quantity for it. It's not quite a bobblehead. It's not quite anything that we've done before. So we put it on a Sunday game, which tends to be a popular game on the weekend, but it wasn't the premium opponent. It was against the Seattle Mariners. It was an American holiday. It was Father's Day. But we wanted to spread awareness for this game. So about a month, 6 weeks before the game, we decided we wanted to do a social promotion for the game. And in order to do that, we needed to spread the idea that this event and this promotion was happening on this game. And what better way than to harness the Oakland A's followers to help spread the word for us.
And so, Travis, what was the main? Oh, sorry about that. What was the main basis for the promotion, and what did the fans have to do?
So what they did and what we did is we utilized some of our sponsors in brick and mortar locations. So we picked 5 sponsors in the community, location each day the week leading up to the Rage and Gnome game. And we blew up the gnome in an oversized way. So we blew him up to about 4 or 5 feet tall, something you can stick on a wall or on a pillar. And what we did is we informed fans each morning, Monday through Saturday before the Sunday game, a new location each day. So we'd say, appearing today at a Chevron gasoline station, go out to this place, this specific location, take a photo with this gnome, share it on your Twitter account, use the hashtag #GnominAround, and you can win tickets for Sunday's game. And we had 5 winners each day, so it was sort of 6 different contests. The final day we had it at the Oakland A's game. We had the gnome in a portion of our stadium. And, it generated good amount of success. About 2 weeks prior to the game, 10 days prior to the game, we were behind in sales. We had a certain figure that we wanted to hit, and we were trending down. I can't say that this helped completely, but this definitely helped spread awareness that week leading up to the game, and we ended up selling out the game by game day. And the response that we got from fans online was great. We had over 150 people share their photo with the gnome throughout the entire week. We went back and we looked at the engagement of those people that shared, meaning the people that shared their photo. We looked at the number of followers that they had, each one, and tallied those up. That was over 24,000 different Twitter accounts, meaning that potentially 24,000 new people that don't follow the A's might have seen that there was something going on with this gnome promotion, hopefully to bring people out to the game. And we really saw the response on game day when we sold out the game.
Did anyone bring a gnome to the game in celebration? And what happened to the raging gnome? Was it given away to a lucky fan?
You mean the blow-up doll?
Yeah.
Or the blow-up piece? No, we had 6 of them, or we had 7 of them, actually. We gave one to Grant himself.
Of course.
His wife actually asked for one. She wanted to put it on the wall in their home. We let the companies that we gave them to, they could do whatever they want with them. They might have given them away. We didn't ask for them back. And the one that we displayed here at the ballpark, I put it on my office wall, so it's now sharing my space with me.
It's fascinating how, particularly in your market where there is so many games to sell, you have to come up with new concepts to keep people constantly engaged.
Oh, yeah, certainly, definitely. I mean, it's every homestand we have something new and different, and we're constantly trying to engage people on social media. We don't usually do a program for a specific promotion like this, maybe once, twice a year. This was one that we felt really needed it, though, but certainly every game we're trying to take different types of photos, interactive photos, either with our players holding their promotion, different kinds of things just to help spread awareness. And the more interesting the photo or more interesting the tweet or Facebook post is, the more that we think somebody's going to share it. And like just today, it's the first day of summer. It's summer solstice, and we took a photo of our mascot Stomper with his feet up, sitting in the stadium with sunshades on. We put it's the first day of summer. When's your next A's game? We asked that question across social media today, and it got a great response. A lot of people saying, "I'm coming next week. I'm coming on this promotion day," and hopefully their friends see that and want to come out with them. Indeed. Good stuff, Travis. It shows us just how you can engage fans and enjoy the time away from the ballpark with them as well. Thanks for being with us, and good luck to the A's for this season. Yeah, thank you, gentlemen. Have a great day. Travis LaDolce, Senior Manager of Digital Marketing at the Oakland A's in Major League Baseball, and Sean Callanan still on the DL there. He'll be back in the studio with the Moon Boot on next week. Sean, quickly, where can people find you in the digital world?
They can find me at sportsgeekhq.com or Sean Callanan or SportsGeek on Twitter.
Like the Sports Geek podcast? Find us on Facebook.com/SportsGeek.
Thanks to Travis there for the interview, and a very big thanks to Francis Leach for the save on that interview. It's very tough doing an interview via phone, especially with 2 people. And you might have actually heard a couple of beeps during that interview, and my call actually dropped halfway through. So Frank, being the professional, picked up the rest of the interview, and I look forward to being in the studio next week. I did follow up with Travis after that discussion because I did have one question that I wanted to ask him, especially now with the introduction to Instagram video on how he might have made changes to that promotion using Instagram video. He pretty much, said he would have liked to have done that, and he probably will do it in the future. And most likely, it would have been asking fans to submit, Raging Gnome videos. Obviously, it does make it a little bit sensitive from a moderation point of view, and have to moderate a few more things. But yeah, he would like to do it. The promotion they ran was only on Twitter because they didn't actually get the legal side done for Instagram pictures taken. But yeah, it's a really good way of just showing, not a massive amount of budget, but worked really effectively to build awareness for the game, get people through, and make people aware of what they call a B-class giveaway. It's not quite up there with the A-class bobbleheads. We don't actually have a big giveaway culture in the sports scene here in Australia. Okay, moving back to Australian sport, it's been a big week of sport in Australia with 2 national teams in action. As you know from our discussion last week with Rob Skilchotti, the Socceroos were trying to qualify for the World Cup. They did do that last Tuesday. Just looking at some of the numbers back on what we're trying to achieve with the Socceroos and what they did achieve. The final game where they did finally clinch, and congrats to Josh Kennedy for getting the goal that secured the spot for the Socceroos. Socceroos jumped 3,000 followers during the Iraq game, compared to only jumping 1,000 in the previous 2 games. Their "Going to Brazil" tweet was retweeted over 2,000 times, and it was really interesting to see Facebook hashtags starting to come into effect. As we said, they're just starting out. I had a bit of a chat to Facebook. I couldn't get as much data out of Facebook as I would have liked. They were able to say it was the top topic on Facebook, and it was a big adoption of actually the hashtag #GoSocceroos. I am going to keep chipping away to see if I can get some more information out of Facebook on how fans or users of Facebook are adopting hashtags. But I definitely saw a big use of it, and it seemed to be a bit of a moment for Facebook hashtags. From the Wallabies point of view, they played on the weekend. Some of the quick stats out of that, but I don't really want to go into too much of the social. I'm hoping to have some of the guys from the Socceroos in a future podcast. They hit over 15,000 tweets per hour in that first half, and definitely the big star of the game was Izzy Folau. Izzy Folau is now a 3-sport athlete. Formerly, he played rugby league and NRL with a couple of teams, including Melbourne and the Broncos, and was a state of origin representative. He was then lured to play AFL with the GWS Giants, with a rather large salary, I might add. And after 1.5 seasons, it would have to be said it was a failed stint at AFL. And now he is playing rugby union. And only, I think it is 6 games into his rugby union career, he has what is now being termed one of the best debuts as a Wallaby in an international game, playing for his country. So a fine effort. He's played for his country in NRL, in rugby league, and now rugby union. Definitely a big star, and was definitely the big talking point of the game, the Wallabies game versus the British and Irish Lions. One thing I did want to do was an app and a sponsor activation that was done around the Wallabies game. The app is actually called Samsung Stadium. It's obviously a promotion with Samsung. It's primarily a social. It has 2 main features. The main feature is that it provides an alternate commentary to the game, so you can listen to the commentary by some famous sports comedians here in Australia, Roy and HG. They've been doing alternate commentary on major sporting events over the last 10 to 15 years on normally the national broadcaster, the youth broadcaster Triple J. But Samsung secured Roy and HG to broadcast, to do their version of the broadcast on the Samsung app. So it was a really great draw to get people to download it. I downloaded, the audio came through fine. There was obviously some issues with audio sync, as you have with digital radio. If you're watching a live sport, digital radio is going to be a little bit out of sync. So that's always going to be an issue, but Roy and HG style isn't exactly play-by-play. They're pretty much conversational and talking rubbish over the whole game. Quite funny, from my opinion anyway. One thing I actually did was I was watching it on Foxtel and I paused the action until the commentary caught up, and then effectively I did the manual sync myself. So there was a few syncing issues, but also the app itself, you could have stayed in the app and you could see tweets and Instagram shots coming through, and they were trying to promote people to use the hashtag Samsung Stadium, which was purchased as a promoted trend on the night, sending people to the account. You didn't have to stay in the account; you could listen to the audio and jump back into your Twitter app of choice. Just a couple of things that I think they just slightly missed the mark on, just from a social point of view, and really making sure all the things were all the I's were crossed, all the I's were dotted and the T's were crossed. I'll make sure I don't muck them up. I get an occasional call from people with corrections, and please send them in if I do make stupid mistakes like that. One thing was training a guy like HG Nelson, who is new to Twitter, how to use hashtags. He was tweeting prior to the event, telling people to come on board, and he was effectively connecting his hashtag to his last word, and so Twitter's search wasn't picking it up. So this is a minor thing that he has to put a space before he puts Samsung Stadium on his tweet, so people know that they can search for that tweet. And then the other thing, which was a little bit minor, but obviously the promotion is based around Samsung. HG effectively had his own Oprah moment, where he has been tweeting from an iPad. Now, I know the Samsung Stadium, they've built apps for the iPhone and the iPad, but it's a little bit like when I say Oprah moment, when she tweeted her pleasure of using Microsoft Surface product, she did so from an iPad as well. So again, minor things. If you're going to ask someone to endorse your product, well, really the key players using your product or promoting the product should be using your product. And the other thing, I did try, there was an interfaced data capture component to the Samsung Stadium where you had to enter your details and then you're meant to be tweeting and potentially win prizes. I did go through it. It seemed a little bit clunky, especially in the mobile space, which obviously most people are going to be using that app. I did see a couple of people tweeting that it completely fell over on the iPad. That was one that it failed for me, but it appeared to complete. So again, it just makes user experience really important when you're building apps like that. So we'll keep an eye on. If you haven't downloaded Samsung Stadium, I'd say give it a try, download it, have a listen to Roy and HG. For my American and UK friends, if you want a completely different commentary of the game, tune in. It might not be to your taste, but it is very funny from an Australian point of view. We'll take a quick break, and we'll be back soon to discuss Twitter ads.
Sports Geek Podcast, available on Stitcher. SportsGeekHQ.com/Stitcher.
Well, as I've been talking about over the last couple of podcasts, we're starting to play with Twitter ads with the Melbourne Storm and look at some of the options that it can offer from a ticketing point of view. We're able to dive into a little bit of the stats from the ticketing vendor to see how they're comparing against Google and Facebook. And so far, the Twitter ads are comparing favourably and on par with the Google ads as far as getting sales goes. So what I wanted to do is to dive into the different types of Twitter ads that we're promoting. There's three major types. One is obviously promoted account. You would have seen that. You can promote an account. We're not doing that. The Melbourne Storm have a really strong brand and have followers, so people know where to find them. What we're looking to do is to target fans of the Storm and their friends and people who might be interested in the Storm to come along to a game and to know that there is a game on. It's as much a brand awareness play as it is ticket selling play, but obviously we want to sell some tickets. So one of the types is you can target users, Twitter users, on their tweets and the words and the keywords that they use in their tweets. So this is one where we can target people tweeting about the players or specific hashtags. The only issue with Twitter ads at the moment, it doesn't offer geolocation down to state and city level in Australia as yet. So we can only target Australia. So we've had to really focus in on keywords and hashtags that are very Melbourne-centric. There's no point in us promoting a ticketing promotion to someone out of state. So that has been a bit of a difficult thing. The other type of way you can decide who you're going to target is by followers of certain accounts. So you can say, I want to target followers of these accounts. We ran that for the first week, sort of looking at, hey, we can follow all these sports teams. We want other sports fans. And some interesting stuff came out of it from the stats of where the impressions were applied it appears that most fans, especially if you're looking at AFL and those do follow all the teams. So it's not, fans aren't just following their team, they're following the other teams for the information. They might not be following avidly and retweeting and the like, but we did see quite a big overlap on a lot of the key sport accounts in Melbourne. So that was one thing that was interesting in as far as how we targeted and who we were targeting. The next thing was what kind of tweets were we going to send out? And you have a couple of options here. You can decide to send out a tweet you've already sent out. So you might have put out a ticketing call or told fans about a promotion. You can just simply say, yes, I want to promote that tweet to that audience. And that's similar to a Facebook promoted post. So it's going to get re-sent out and in the faces of those fans. The other option is to have a promoted only tweet. And so this is a tweet that just gets sent to the people you're targeted. And if you go to the timeline of the person who's doing the ad, you won't actually see the tweet in the timeline. So it gives you a little bit more flexibility around what you can do and what you can say. And you don't have to fill your timeline with potentially spammy tweets of plenty of ticketing options that you want to provide. So it does give you a little bit of an option from provide variations on the tweets, a little bit of A/B testing, because they're only going to get shown to people who are getting promoted to, and Twitter has this algorithm of sorts that will exhaust. So you won't be showing that tweet too many times to the same people. As I said in the previous podcast, the model is cost per engagement. Now, if you're trying to do a ticketing call to action or a merch call to action, obviously you want them to click on the link and buy the product. So it's really important to strip back any other distractions. So things like hashtags, potentially if people click on the hashtag, that's an engagement. If they reply, that's an engagement. If they retweet, that's good. That re-promotes your message, but that's an engagement as well, and you pay for that. So there's some of the things that we've learnt so far on Twitter ads. What we are finding, because there isn't that many people, and this is our assumption, I'm going to check with the guys back in San Francisco, it is very easy to burn the cash on the Twitter ads because no one else is there competing against those spots, against those audiences. You really can't complain. You are getting the clicks. But yeah, it's very easy to see the cash fly out the door. So if you are going to start up doing Twitter campaigns, if you want some assistance, be very aware of your daily limits. Otherwise, you'll be in for a nasty shock if you don't set that appropriately. So that's it for today. If you want any more info on Twitter ads and you want to look at promoting your accounts or promoting particular tweets and events, please give us a call. We're happy to help get you set up. The other thing is that came out with Twitter this week. If you actually log into Twitter ads, you can see the analytics for your Twitter account. Now, a lot of the verified accounts and the sports teams have had that turned on for a little while now. But if you haven't checked it out, it takes you into some of the analytics. It tells you what responses you're getting, what's the most reach, what got the most retweets, what tweets are working the best. Give you a bit of a feel for what's working for you on Twitter. It's pretty much the first version of the analytics, so I expect it to grow and get better over time. So that's pretty much it for today's show. Just a couple of things that I wanted to recap. I don't know if you know, episode 4, Sports Geek podcast episode 4 with George Rose was actually ended up as a made-for-TV interview. The guys at ABC Grandstand actually interviewed both myself and George on a piece for ABC Grandstand TV, looking at athletes and social media, which was a bit of an extension of our discussion in episode 4. If you go to the show notes for that, sportsgeekhq.com/4, you can actually listen to the podcast again if you didn't catch it, but you can also see the video from ABC Grandstand. And that's it. Wraps up another Sports Geek podcast, episode 7. You can get the show notes at sportsgeekhq.com/7. Thank you very much for downloading the episode. We've just cracked 1,500 downloads over 30 countries, so thank you very much. If you have a question for the show, please go to sportsgeekhq.com/SGP. We're using the SpeakPipe plugin, so you can simply record your question and you'll be on a future podcast. We'll finish up today's episode with the Sounds of the Game feature. I did cop a little bit of flack for using Collingwood last week. I will vary it up. It won't be Collingwood every single week, but I do need your help. I'm not getting to as many games as I would like with my current Achilles injury, so please take some audio at your game, whether it be the opening bounce, the tip-off, a chant, whatever it is. Just pull out your phone, record a little bit, send it in to Sean at sportsgeekhq.com. I'd very much appreciate to hear sounds from around the world of sport. So that's it. This week's Sound of the Game is from the Melbourne Rebels game a few weeks ago when they beat one of the South African teams for a big win, and we get to hear their theme song is actually from Les Mis, it sounds awesome once you get into it. So that's it for this week. My name is Sean Callanan. You can find me at Sean Callanan or at SportsGeek, and obviously everything else is at sportsgeekhq.com. Thank you very much. I'll leave with the Rebels and talk to you next week.
Please leave a review on iTunes. Go to sportsgeekhq.com/iTunes. Find all Sports Geek podcasts at sportsgeekhq.com/SGP. Thanks for listening to the Sports Geek Podcast.